Hello and welcome to the preview show brought to you by the No Nay Never podcast. We are back and we are previewing Burnley against Manchester United at Turf Moor this Saturday at 8 p.m. We have got joining us in the studio Dave Statman Roberts to give you all of the stats and facts ahead of that game. And we are joined by regular analyst and panellist Tom Whittaker, who's going to preview that game with us. So hold on to your hats and here we go. So let's Dave right in there, Delve. What a start. Dave, let's delve in. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's becoming a bit of a pattern for our shows that my opening sentence is usually wrong. I think I probably need to do some kind of warm-up before I start these shows. I think we need to be a bit more professional. Tom, another preview show for you. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
No problem at all. We were very grateful for your input last week, actually, that you sent us that reaction video from Spurs. Was it Spurs or was it Forest? Whichever one it was that we put out there. So thank you for that. He was the only one in the team who put forward his content. So we're always very grateful. Right, let's get cracking. A preview show. Now, Dave, before we get into the preview show, I'm going to get my script right about the quiz. Because this year we're doing something very different. We are not giving you a quiz question at the end of the show. We're going to give it to you now. You're going to listen to some bits throughout the podcast/show, and then we're going to give you the answer at the end. See, told you I was going to get it right. What have you decided to set for our listeners this episode, please?
Well, once again, we're interested in individuals who've played for Burnley and Manchester United, and you might be interested to know there's 21 players who've represented both teams since the Second World War, but only 3 of them have played 50 or more league games for both Burnley and Manchester United. But can you name all 3?
We will have a look. There is definitely a pattern now coming towards our quiz questions, and I'm liking it. Some weeks I do very well, some weeks I don't. Tom, we're not going to get you to give any away now, but can you think of any immediately before we get to the end of the show?
I think I've got 2. Yeah, I think
I've definitely got 1, possibly 2.
They're not recent ones.
Oh, okay. One of mine's definitely right then. I think I've got 1 that came to mind straight away. But yeah, let's have a look. We'll wait until the end of the show. Now, Tom, before we let Dave loose on his stats and everything for the show, surely we must all be feeling relatively confident following that Forest result. We have finally got a point on the board. We played well. Aside from a shaky first 20 minutes of the game, Burnley definitely matched Forest, and I don't expect Forest will be in the relegation zone either. I think they'll be in that chunk slightly above. And we managed to get a point away. Could have been and should have been 3. And we are facing a Manchester United side who are most definitely struggling at the moment and underperforming. Does that confidence from the Forest point give you confidence that we can do something particularly at home on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it has to. I think it's not just the result. I think the performance was the main thing. It was just so much better than we've seen in the first 3 games from a defensive standpoint. I think there was kind of a recognition from company that we have got to be a bit more pragmatic than we were in those first 3 games, bringing Brownhill in and bringing Taylor in. And the balance of the team looked a lot better. And I think as long as he kind of sticks with those 2, we're going to see a better shape against Man United. We're not going to give them so much space. The pressing game wasn't as high up the pitch.
No.
And these are all lessons that we had to learn, and it looks like we have learned them. So if we line up in a similar way and we play in a similar way, I'm pretty confident that we've got the skills to hurt any team in the league this season. We look like we've got goals in this whoever we play. So if we're a bit tighter at the back, then the way Man United are playing, we've got every chance of getting something, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We'll come on to particulars of the game, of the team selection later on. It's a little bit disappointing that we won't have our first choice strike threat, but certainly with some of the suggestions coming forward as to how we replace Foster, which we'll look at later on in the show. I think Turf Moor's going to be rocking. It's 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. this is a fixture that Manchester United absolutely do not want. Let's put it that way. So I think we should definitely capitalise on that. Dave, let's get going then. You are going to kick us off with the first of our features for this previous show, and that is the match results summary, please. Take it away, Dave.
Yeah, we've got a summary of past home league matches against Manchester United. And this season's the 60th that Manchester United have been in the same league as Burnley. That includes during their early days as Newton Heath, their previous name before they changed it in 1902. 12 have been in the second tier, and this is the 48th in the top flight. United have been ever present in all of our 9 Premier League campaigns. Overall, for home league matches, Burnley have won 27, drawn 10 and lost 22 so far. And Burnley have outscored United in those. We've scored 93 goals and conceded 73, although that positive goal difference has continued to erode over recent seasons.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on then, the first of our new features for this season, and that is the already fan favourite one to remember and one to forget. We look back at a couple of memorable past meetings with very conflicting results. So what have you chosen this time, Dave?
Well, I don't think it'll be the first time this match gets mentioned over the weekend in various media outlets. It probably comes as no surprise to anyone that Burnley's long-awaited top-flight match at Turf Moor in 2009, after a break of over 33 years outside of the top division, is our one to remember this time. After a memorable promotion in May of that year, thanks to the playoff victory over Sheffield United at Wembley, we began life back in the top flight with a 2-0 away defeat. That was away at Stoke City on the opening weekend in August. But the atmosphere at Turf Moor was electric the following Wednesday. That was for the visit of the reigning champions, Manchester United. The match hinged on 2 moments of brilliance. The first was a very, very special goal from Robbie Blake, whose powerful volley at the cricket field end, after just 19 minutes, was met with a crescendo of noise like no other. And after goalscorer Blake had conceded a penalty at the other end just before half-time, it was time for the beast, Brian Jensen, to save Michael Carrick's spot kick. The 1-0 win was the first of 4 consecutive home victories for us at the start of that league campaign. Although it's been downhill at Turf Moor since then, with Burnley losing 5 and drawing 2 of the 7 subsequent home Premier League matches against United, we haven't been disgraced in any of those defeats, losing 1-0 twice, as well as losing 3 by a 2-0 scoreline. So I want to forget is actually from the title-winning 1959-60 season. Hopes were high for a league double. That was after a 2-1 away win at Old Trafford on Boxing Day 1959, with goals from Jimmy Robson and Ian Lawson. But in the return match at Turf Moor 2 days later, the high-flying Clarets, who were in 3rd place in the table, gambled on scoring an equaliser while trailing 2-1 late in the game. As a consequence, ended up conceding 2 more late goals from Albert Scanlon, meaning that it finished 4-1 to the visitors. Thankfully, a strong second half of the season, culminating with a 2-1 win at Manchester City, that was at Main Road in May 1960, meant that we somehow took the title away from the grasp of Wolverhampton Wanderers at the very last moment.
Wow. You'd have to go far back with that one, Dave. That's definitely tested your research skills. Okay, Dave, final stat, referee. Oh, we're all a little bit down on referees at the moment, so please give us some good news and let us... Oh, actually, before we get on to this, hilariously, in last week's preview show, one of your stats that you put from that, you weren't with us last week, was that
Wrong.
our referee... No, it wasn't wrong. No. You'd put in the referee stat that there'd been no red cards in his previous games. I remember reading it in the script going, oh, Dave, you've absolutely completely jinxed us there. And lo and behold, elbow in the chest and we get a red card. So sorry. So give us some good news. Who's refereeing? We're going to get a competent official, Dave. Let us know.
Fingers crossed. It's been a while since Tony Harrington refereed the Burnley match. The Hartlepool-based official was in charge just over 7 years ago when we suffered an extra time defeat in the League Cup at Accrington Stanley. Since then, he's been promoted to the Select 1 group of officials. That was in summer 2021. But in just over 2 seasons, he's only taken charge of 9 Premier League matches. They're obviously breaking him in gently, I think. This will be just his 5th Burnley match overall, The other 4 have resulted in 2 defeats. We lost at home to Reading early in the 2015-16 Championship winning season, as well as that defeat at Accrington Stanley, as well as 2 wins, which were from the 2013-14 season. A 4-0 League Cup victory at York City, as well as a 2-0 home win in the league against Doncaster Rovers. I'm saying it again, there were no red cards in any of his previous 4 Burnley matches. Simon Hooper will be in charge of the GPT, or goal prevention technology, as the video assistant referee on Saturday evening.
GPT, I love it. You listened to our podcast. I think that's been very much the common theme from our fans this week. I think there's a frustration that for some of the good that VAR can do across the league, it seems to be that its intention is to just find any way that they can disallow a goal. And if they absolutely can't, then fine, the goal stands, which, you know, you can kind of look at that and think, well, or maybe that's the whole point of it, because if it's an illegal goal, it shouldn't stand. But to me, the benefit of the doubt should be, the fair should be to let the goal stand unless there's something clear and obvious or something that's a definite infringement. The levels to which they are going to subjectively disallow these goals, I very much love GPT. We're going to start adopting that on the No Nay Never podcast. Now, Tom, let's start up front. Let's start with personnel. We've talked about this a little bit recently, so I'm pretty sure I know how you're going to go with this. But how do we deal with the loss of Lyle Foster?
Yeah, it's a tricky one with Obafemi out, and Rodriguez hasn't really had a look in yet this season, and I think he's probably on his way out, you'd imagine, after this season. So I'm not convinced that Company will start him. I think he's perhaps an option off the bench, but I think you'd probably be looking at, with the way that Burge played in the number 10 role when he came on Monday night, you'd probably be tempted to put Amdouni up front and then Burge at number 10, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think maybe it'd be interesting to see what Amdouni's like at centre forward, because his feet, every time he gets the ball, I go to my dad, God, his feet are fantastic, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
I say that 10 times a game, but he's brilliant feet. So you'd think he could do that kind of back to goal, link the play up job quite well. But then we would miss him kind of picking it up in the middle and carrying it 20, 30 yards if he was playing there. So not 100% sure if he's in number 9, but I think he's probably the best option with what we've got on Saturday, and let's see how it goes.
And I think this option's become more popular and more available because of that increased performance from Sander Berge. I mean, you know, it's difficult because he'd only just come into the club, but certainly in that deep midfield central role alongside Josh Cullen, didn't really make much of an impact in those first 3 games. Of course, it's difficult against that quality of side, but it didn't really get off to the best of starts. When he came on against Forest and played much higher up, I mean, look at the goal should have stood anyway. We're clearly not over this yet. We're going to keep talking about it. But just his skill alone for the goal that Foster should have had was an incredible show of strength. And he just found space that we couldn't have. And the Forest defence were struggling to contain him. So I don't think we'd have been talking in this manner about Sander Berge filling that role unless we'd have tried it against Forest and it had been so successful. Further down the pitch then, I'm presuming you are comfortable that we stick with the old guard of Gudmundsson and Brownhill and Taylor in there, given the impact. Oh, actually, no. No. We can keep. I was thinking about Berge then, but obviously that's fine. Given the impact that they had on Monday against Forest, particularly at left back, I don't see any reason to not start them again.
Yeah, I think the team that we were picking before didn't really make sense compared to the team that we had against Forest. Like you say, Berge doesn't look good in the position that Brownhill was playing. Amdouni's not Alderkeel's not a right back, and Roberts isn't a left back, and the team looked a lot better on Monday. So I think, apart from the enforced change with Foster, there's no reason to change anything else as far as I can see.
No, that's fine. Generally speaking, then, I know we touched on this at the top of the show, but given the poor form, I know some people have said on Twitter today, I know Leighton tweeted us about this, and he definitely said, like, surely United can't stay this bad for long term. I think a lot of Burnley fans have got a little bit Burnley-fied in their head and gone, oh, they're obviously going to, my dad's the same, oh, they're going to come good when they play us, you know, all of this, but they really are showing some vulnerability in the first half of this season. And I think this is one of the best chances that we've got to correct that poor run that we've had against United at Turf Moor following that Robbie Blake score. What are your confidence levels like, generally speaking, Tom?
Yeah, I think you have to kind of recognise that it's easy to sort of say, oh, look at United, they look vulnerable, they're conceding goals. They'll be saying the same thing about us, especially the way that we played at home. So you have to temper that somewhat. I do think we'll play better if we pick the same team. I think we'll be better. We'll give a better showing of ourselves than we did against Spurs for sure. And I think it's a good time to play Man United. I think if you look at their away form, not just over this season so far, but if you look at it over the calendar year, it's been really bad. I think I remember reading of anyone sort of 2 or 3 away games, I think, in the Premier League in 2023. So you'd like to think that we've got a chance of getting something. They've got a lot of injuries as well. The injury list is crazy at the minute. And you saw the bench that they had on Wednesday night against Bayern Munich. There were not many options to come on there. With them having played a game in midweek as well, some away travel, you'd like to think maybe there's a little bit tired legs there as well. So with all that, it's a good time to play them. It's a good opportunity, but we do have to remember, a good point away at Forest doesn't mean that we've cracked it yet, and we're going to have to be considerably better than we've shown at home so far this season if we do want to get anything. So I'd like to say I'm confident. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm a lot more confident than I was after the Spurs game, but I'll be more than happy with the draw, I think.
Excellent. Well, a draw would be a great. I wouldn't be, bothered with a draw. Do you want to give me a score prediction then, please, Tom? Or are you going with a draw?
Yeah, well, I always say with these things, my heart says 2-1, my head says 2-2. Let's say 2 of these.
2-2. I like it. Dave, I'm loving the renewed, just this positive attitude. Don't let me down. I've loved the new Dave this season of the previous show. Give me a score prediction.
Well, Tom's preempted my prediction because I was going to go for 2-2 as well.
I'll take that. I'm gonna be the voice of positivity on the previous show, and I'm going to go with 2-1. I'm going to nick Tom's heart thing. I'm going to go for that. Let you two have the 2-2. Listeners, let us know what your score prediction, please, is. You know how to get in touch with us. We would love to hear what you think we are going to do. Okay, before we finish off as we finish off the preview show, Dave, you're going to treat our listeners, please. Dive deep into those pockets of yours and let our listeners have your miscellaneous stat of the week.
This comes back nicely to what we were just discussing before about who could possibly replace Lyle Foster. Since that memorable Robbie Blake goal against Manchester United in August 2009, Burnley have only managed to score 1 goal in 701 minutes of football against Manchester United at Turf Moor, despite finding the net much more regularly on our intervening visits to Old Trafford. The scorer of that only other home Premier League goal against United was Jay Rodriguez, who found the net in the 1-1 draw between the two teams in Burnley's 5,000th league game at Turf Moor in February 2022, with a little bit of help from a certain Wout Weghorst, remember him, in the build-up.
We've forgotten about him. We've moved on from him. Hilarious. Okay, let's wrap that up then. We have given you our preview of the United game. Let's do a couple of housekeeping matters before we sign off for this week. Firstly, FPL. You will have seen already published that Adam has done an FPL update for us. If you haven't already checked that out, you can see that on our YouTube channel and through our podcast. He gives you the update as to where we are with this season's None and Never FPL. Good luck, obviously, to all of our league managers ahead of game week 6. There's no Friday evening or Saturday lunchtime matches in this game week. So the deadline to get your teams and your captains and your substitutions and your transfers and all of that done is actually 1:30 on Saturday afternoon, as well as playing any of those magic beans that you need to play as well. As Adam would say, green arrows to you all. I don't know what that means, but that's on my script, and therefore I am going with it. So green arrows to you all. Does that mean you've gone up the table? Do you get a little green and you get it? See, I don't know what they are because I'm always red. I've always got that red mark next to mine, or something weird that says you've not moved because I'm at the bottom and I can't go any further. So I don't really know. I don't know what the green arrow is. Okay, Dave, quiz question. You said it at the beginning of it. You wanted us to name those players who have played more than 50 league games, or just 50 games? 50 league games for both Manchester United and Burnley. Both Tom and I. Tom thinks he's got 2. I think I've got 1. Given I've only got 1.
3 now.
You've got 3. All right, let me go first then, because you've got 2 other shots at it. So I'm going to start with Andy Cole.
No. Got to go further back than that.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
He didn't play that many games for us.
It said it was for 2 seasons, didn't it? Did he only stay for 1 season? Oh, okay. I thought it was 2 seasons. Well, yeah, no, he's definitely not played 50 then. Damn it. I don't know. Okay, Tom, what are your guesses?
Mike Phelan.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Willie Morgan.
Yeah.
And John Kennelly.
Yeah, all 3.
Excellent.
Hang on a minute. Tom, did you cheat?
No, I didn't cheat. You've seen, I've been on the camera the whole time. You haven't seen me with a book or anything, have you?
I'm highly suspicious. Okay. Conroy, Mickey Phelan is definitely one I should have got, and I accept that one was an error. But the other 2, how have you got? I'm not having that. I think you've gone into the John Roberts bank of cheetah bits there. We'll see how we are. Listeners, do let us know how many of you've got. And better still, we do love hearing from you guys on Twitter or on email. So if you've got any fond memories of any of those players, whether you're one of our Manchester United fan listeners or whether you are one of our Clarets, drop us a line. We love to hear your memories, especially Dave. He loves getting involved, especially as he was probably still already watching back in those days when they were playing, Dave. Sorry. Okay, that's not a good way. I've seen
Matt Phelan play, not the other 2.
Yeah, I suspect that upsetting your stats guy and the producer of your preview show is probably not a wise strategy. So let's leave it there, listeners. For everybody who's going to be at Turf Moor on Saturday night, let's make that fortress as loud and as hostile as we possibly can. Let's make it incredibly uncomfortable for those Manchester United players. Raise the roof, cheer the boys on, and let's celebrate the first win of the season. I'm absolutely convinced it's going to come. If you've got any questions or any comments, then you know how to get in touch with us. You can leave comments on our social media pages, or you can email us at previewshow@knownandever.net. We will be back on probably Tuesday with our analysis show, where our panelists will be picking apart that game and going through all of the major talking points. And we would love you to get involved, so do drop us a line. In the meantime, take care all. I've been Natalie Bromley. This has been the Preview Show, brought to you by the Known and Never podcast. Until next time. The Known and Never podcast is brought to you in association with the TalkSport Fan Network. Our host and editor is Natalie Bromley, and the show is produced by Matt Moss. Our resident statistician is Dave Roberts, and our FPL expert is Adam Dennett. The Analysis Show team is collectively Tom Whittaker, Rich Steele, George Poole, Charlotte Rigby and Adam Dennett. Our music is provided by George Gaskell, and our newsletter team is headed up by Jamie Smith. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our newsletter by visiting knownandever.substack.com. Thanks as ever go to our partners TalkSport. We are proud to be associated with the TalkSport Fan Network.